Boom!
Arms are up.
Boom! There he is. The one, the only, Garrett J White.
What's up, fellas? I'm excited to be back here with you guys and all the insurance agents who listen to your show, and all the advisors who listen to your show, and all of the individuals trying to figure out how to create a frame of certainty around leading and inspiring other people in one of the most important topics in their entire life, which is their money.
Buckle up. It's the Insurance Dudes Podcast.
So yeah, I'm excited to be back. Not a money guy, but I happen to talk about the money conversation better than about 99.9% of all insurance agents, because I'm a marketer, I'm a closer, and I understand people. I don't get like fuck insurance products and make love to myself about how awesome my product is. I understand people. Right. So hopefully today we can have a little conversation about people, because the product itself at the end of the day is powerful, but it's only powerful ability to talk to people.
Yeah, those relationships matter.
Yes, yes. So you guys keep running the show here through the pandemic, huh?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know about your business, but we now the term is leaned into it, you know. But we really did double down, triple down, and really went into the marketing as everybody exited from marketing and was like cowering in fear. Mm-hmm. And it's really paid off. I mean, we've grown some businesses that we're involved with through this. We've grown our agencies. We both opened a new location. So, you know, it's been something else.
Yeah, I think it created paralysis for everybody for a bit, for a day or 2 or 3 weeks, 2 weeks, whatever it was. Some people didn't recover from it. Some people did. Like our response to it, we had already started making moves in our businesses to just be super, super intense with our infrastructure and our technology online to be able to do what we do online. That makes it a little difficult in our salons, our hair salons, but even in that place, we've been able to find ways around that. But yeah, like I would agree, like the everything is going on right now, all the conditions right now, certainty's never been needed more than it is now. Taking a stand has never been needed more. So individuals who are willing to lean into that with advertising, with marketing, and with a message that actually connects with people amidst all the chaotic shit they're getting to consume all day, are going to win.
Well, I mean, I've listened to, you know, many of your podcasts, but one of the things that comes up a lot is excuses, right? We have all these excuses constantly, and here is the ultimate excuse, right? Like it's like the get out of jail. Hey, I'm not buying anything now because now I have the ultimate excuse, right? And if everybody's using it, what an opportunity, right? Yep. Everybody's hiding.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, that hiding conversation. The worst part is the hiding's happening from a lot of people who should be leading. Right. So you look at who listens to the show, like it's not about an issue about the marketplace hiding. You know, people have been hiding, you know, 3/4 of the United States of America hides all the fucking time.
Yeah.
They hide. They're constantly scared, constantly worried, constantly threatened. And that half of that percentage is trying to figure out whether or not they're socialist or capitalist. And whether they're going to hope for a handout and watch Netflix and binge on it all day, or whether or not they actually do something productive with their life. So if you look at the position advisor sits in a very unique situation. I think that there's ultimately 3 things that control a person's world, like more than anything: mindset, marketing, and money. And how a person's psychology, the marketing or the content they consume, and how they deal with their money. Like if you are engaged in any of those 3 conversations with human beings, like you have massive leadership opportunity and massive, like people need to be led to that. They want to be led because most people are too fucking lazy. And the fact is most insurance agents are lazy as fuck.
Yeah.
So they just are. They're lazy as fuck. Like P&C guys, like life insurance guys are lazy as fuck with the way they deal with it. And hopefully you listen to the show, you're not one of those fuckheads that's so lazy that you don't actually see the opportunity for what it is.
Right. Or you can recognize that you are and dive in. But we didn't even introduce you. Garrett, we have some things that I'd like to run through just real quick, because
you're like, who is this asshole?
Who is he? Just love it. He just told us to fuck off. I mean, what?
So every major life insurance company in the Midwest with their sweaters and khaki pants have just literally got panties in a knot. They're all, who let the devil into this podcast?
Right.
Trust me, khaki pants, plaid shirt guys, I'm on your team, man. I got you.
Yeah, 100%. And you have that experience. But like what I love, Garrett, and what we've loved about you is you wear your heart out on your sleeve. The last time you were here, you mentioned you were going through a little rebirth of your business and working on a huge project. I'm sure we're going to get to that. relationship struggles with the wife, sexual issues, politics, crazy world news. Like all of this stuff has happened in between. And now during all that, you've released a box set, Warrior Core 4, We Live by a Code, Attack the Stack, The Door, Seek, Knock, Ask, Winning Impossible Games, like just amazing stuff. But if that isn't enough, you now have these programs, right? Be the Man Challenge, Warrior Wealth, Warrior Week, Warrior Con, Warrior Book, which we love. Then the podcast. I mean, we have one and it's a lot of work. You've got 5. I'm making excuses here, right? Date Your Wife, Be the Man, Warrior Week, Warrior Wealth, Warrior on Fire. And then the apps, like I found the apps on the App Store by accident. It wouldn't let me in. So I obviously need to do something here. I got to step up and pay for that. Warrior Pro, Warrior Book app, Warrior Chat. You've been busy with a lot of stuff. A lot of this has been created recently too. Mm. You drive a Lamborghini, but for work on your movement, you're as if you have nothing and you're fighting for your life. How in the hell do you do this, Garrett?
Well, so listen, I was just serving this morning with one of my friends, one of my best friends in San Clemente, and we haven't had much swell the past like 4 weeks, so we're getting a little desperate with the wave count idea. And so we all went out. There was like 60 people patted out. We just basically sat and talked and then pretended like we were catching some closeouts. Like we're sitting there and we were discussing, and this was one of the issues he was facing. He was like, I just can't figure out why I'm so up and down. He's like, can't figure out why I'm so up and down. Why am I feeling so, one day, like Tuesday I'm pumped and Wednesday I'm not pumped. Like I'm like the opposite of pumped. I'm like depressed and I don't want to do anything. And this guy's like successful. He's very successful what he does, makes great money. Takes home $80,000 to $90,000, $100,000 a month, which in some people's world, that's nothing. In other people's world, that's unimaginable, right? I don't know where you are. Like most of the insurance agents are not making more than 40, 60K a year. So I'm sure that sounds like a lot to some of you, but like he's sitting in what you would consider to be success financially, but there's just this up and down dilemma. And the dilemma is not about money. It's about the frame through which you see what you do. Like the frame itself, looking like at the picture. What is the frame through which you see the purpose of your production, the purpose of what you're building, the purpose of what you're creating? And I just challenged him with a question this morning. I was like, well, just consider 2 things. 1, your life's too loose, right? You got too many leaking holes everywhere. Like you're too loosey-goosey in a relationship with your significant relationship. You're too loosey-goosey over here. I'm not judging. I'm just saying my observation is my friend is like you have permission to be loose everywhere. And because you have permission to be loose, there's a lack of integrity with yourself. That's not about being right or wrong. There's a lack of integrity with you about what you're actually committed to. Because it's hard to be committed, right? A big thing in Southern California is open relationships. So people are in open relationships. I'm not in an open relationship. That people want to be in an open relationship, that's fantastic, right? To everybody in the Midwest that's sitting inside of the traditional insurance world, they're going, open what? What is this? Yeah, this basically means you can sleep with other people while you're still married. Makes no sense to me. My wife would be done with me. I'd be done with her. We wouldn't make it. That wouldn't work.
Right.
But there's a lot of people I know who are in relationships like that, and he happens to be in one of those relationships. And for me, I was like, listen, dude, like, what if you just got committed, like across the board? What if your frame on your life was just about commitment? And I was like, I'm not saying I'm perfectly committed all the time. I'm not. But what I am is radically more committed now than I was last week. And I'm radically more committed than I was a year ago. And I'm radically more committed than I was 10 years ago. And my commitment levels with myself continue to go up. So the first frame in looking at this is like, the reason to produce or create has to come from some internal purpose that is beyond other people, which is crazy because you're like, wait a sec, business exists to serve other people. I'm only in this for the people. Bullshit, you're only in this for the people. You're in this for yourself. And that's okay to be in this for yourself. Right. The question becomes, how do I reframe myself to see that building something and continuing to build something and continuing to grow something, and the commitment to continue to grow something, even when everybody else is contracting, the commitment to keep growing and expanding has to come from an internal storyline about you. Mm-hmm. And my storyline is really simple. Like, I don't build businesses to serve people. That's not my first agenda, right? I don't get involved in that. That's that's secondary. My primary purpose in building and growing is to uncover the next version of myself. I don't try to make more money because of the simple fact. My primary reason is not to make more money. It's not to bring more revenue. It's not to make more profit. It's not to sell more books. It's not to sell more hair products. It's not to sell more supplements. It's not to sell more software. It's not to sell more whole life policies. That's not the purpose. But there's a version of me, for example, an insurance agent that takes home $100,000 a year in commissions, right? That insurance agent is one type of agent. And there's a version of you listen to this that takes home $100,000, right? Then there's a version of you that net takes home $1 million with a trailing commission for the next 7 years on that of $200,000 a year.
Yeah.
Right. That guy might not even hire the current version of you.
Yeah. And it's easy to get to not think that exists, right? Like that, oh, that's too hard, or there's, all those reasons why you can't do that.
Well, it's because I think a lot of it too, like Craig's like I spent most of my world trying to compare me to everybody else, which was a lose proposition, because no matter where you look, somebody is going to be shittier than you, which you find yourself in a position of find yourself as like king of the shitheads. Oh, well, I'm better than this guy. You're like, that's not something you should be bragging about, bro.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, look at it, bro. Like, that's not, when you slam dunk on your daughter that's 7, that's not, I mean, I know you dunked on her hard, bro, but still, like you're 46.
You brought it.
Right. You brought it, right? So then there's the comparison looking at people who are so much further down the road, right? So a new agent coming in who's trying to get started his first year, might do $35,000, $40,000 in commissions, and he's feeling like shit because he's around all these producers that are doing $500,000 or $1 million or $2 million or $3 million a year in commissions, and like they're like, how I suck ass, and you're like, actually, for first year, man, you're crushing, you're doing well.
Yeah. And
then, so that's the first thing. And I think that's probably, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but that's what drove me to do everything I've done the last 2 years. And even like the incredible amount of shit we've done in the last 12 months. And then just what we've done, we accelerated through COVID while everyone else slowed down. We went turbo, double down, quadruple down. So that's my first thought.
It's so, I mean, seeing that next place and being fearful, or all the things that go through your head, through your mind. Like when I'm about to open the new one, I said, you know what, why rent the building? I'll buy the building. So I bought the building and was opening on the same day, like closing on the building and opening on the same day. And it was like it was hard to see that guy that was going from these 2 agencies to now 3 and having to do it. But then all of a sudden now here, I mean, it happens, right? You do it and it happens and you're at this next level. Now what's the next level, right? And it's so true with you. Like, it is about doing it for yourself, because when you level up, it's like that new version of you can take on a lot more, right? That you never even thought you could take on.
Yeah. And I think piece with it that at least I didn't consider, that now I see as I train like our guys and even our gals now in our new Warrior Apps programs, but like it's this, once you see that there's a vision possible for, hey, listen, if you can come to terms with the idea there's a version of you, like there's a billionaire version of me. Like I have a painting of him in my office at my house, right? I had the mother-in-law of one of my guys, his marriage was like going to shit. It was like ending. He joined Warrior, came to Warrior Week, went through the process, went through our game, was with us for 1.5 years, 2 years, repaired the marriage, it got pregnant, had a baby, life complete turnaround, murdered in reality, no, but like murdered who he was, and was reborn as this new guy. They rebirthed the marriage, had the baby. So the mother-in-law, as a gift to me for my birthday, actually painted a picture of me. She took a photo of me in the suit with these actual chains and stuff here in my studio, like a photo she had found. Nice. And she painted it and gave it to me. And my wife's like, oh my God, that picture makes you look so old. And I was like, exactly. And every day I look at this painting as I'm getting dressed, I'm getting ready. It's in my man cave in my house. And I look at this painting. This painting looks like a version of me that's 62, 61, 63 years old. And I'm looking at it. This is the billionaire version of me. And I have, as weird as it may sound, I have conversations with this guy sitting in a chair on Sundays. I look at him and I'm like, all right, like here, I'm 44 right now. My 34-year-old version, weak as hell compared to my 44. My 44-year-old version would chew up my 34-year-old version like nobody's business. And my 24-year-old version, get the fuck out of here. Right. So then I look at that and I'm like, that's 20 years ago to my 24-year-old version was like pitiful. My 34-year-old version was pitiful. I lost all my businesses in 2008 because I was an idiot, not because of the real estate market. Because I was a shitty businessman. I didn't think smart. I didn't have the emotional capacity to lead. I didn't have the courage to adjust. I didn't have the courage to innovate. I made every wrong decision in the world. I blew all my personal cash, trying to save a sinking ship instead of taking care of the king first. Like, I made every mistake you could make, right? So that guy is not the same guy now. The guy now, if I was the guy at 34 with my businesses now, we'd have gone bankrupt this year. Like, we'd gone bankrupt because I wouldn't have made the changes that I needed to make 2 years ago. We had gotten very top heavy and gross revenue was blowing through the doors here in 2018. Like, we were crushing from the gross revenue perspective, winning awards all over the place for all kinds of shit in all of my companies. But I didn't give a shit because I was looking at profitability and I was like, we're getting rising risks with rising revenue, with rising payroll, with rising expense loads, with a flatline profit margin that is not making sense. I am not doing this anymore. And so I started making really hard decisions. I shut down our $12 million a year line income on one thing. I shut down another $9 million a year line. I just started shutting shit down in a way that I would not shut it down in 2007. I was too scared. I was too nervous. I didn't have the courage to do it. So the version of me now senses things earlier than the version of me at 34. And the version of me now versus the version of me a year ago senses things more readily, has more courage, has more confidence, has more capability, recognizes he doesn't need a massive team to actually create massive results. He needs more technology and infrastructure. And so I let go of 25 people over the last 18 months. My payroll and expenses were around 1.2 million a month. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I can't keep down this path. I was like, I'm going to cut it down. So I started cutting it down and started looking at things that actually matter. But these are all thought processes that, like, I was not having at 34. And at 54, get the fuck out of here. 54, I'm going to make me look stupid. Like, I'll look so weak. At 54, you'll look at me at the stupid things I'm doing right now and be like, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is that? So you touched upon at the beginning about how we need to rise up in these times, all of the thought leaders, right? And insurance agents are a huge part of that. And a lot of them are complacent, let's say, or I wouldn't even say a lot of them. Just there are some that are complacent right now during this time. I've been watching your content over the last year. You stand up with I would say you stand up with force on what you believe in, but you do it in a very, very empathetic way. But you're not in this gray area. You know, like when it comes to politics, or any kind of matter that people will dance around. You take a harsh stand on the side, but you keep that empathy level.
Yeah.
How can insurance agents that might be in that gray area, I mean, that feel scared to take those stands, what would some advice that you'd be willing to give to them?
I mean, dude, listen, I mean, here's the deal. You can recant the statement that you made, which is most insurance agents are dominating right now. They're not. Most insurance agents are doing what most financial advisors are doing, which is they're just stressing the fuck out. Right? People are uncertain right now. They're uncertain about their future. They're uncertain about the market. They're uncertain in a part of the presidential election year, particularly with the spiciest election that we've ever had in history, in conditions and riots and protesting COVID-19 and kids not going to school. There's never been more uncertainty in the marketplace. Uncertainty amongst normal human beings day to day. So you have agents who typically, and I'm going to say this in the kindest of ways, most agents suck ass at marketing and selling what they actually do. And they're actually not that good at fulfillment either, right? It's like realtors. Most realtors suck. There's a percentage of realtors that are amazing. There's a percentage of insurance agents who see themselves as true trusted advisors that are amazing. And there's the same thing across the board with any industry. A vast majority of the people in any industry suck ass, right? And they suck for one simple reason, which is the frame they have on themselves is weak. If you came into the game to make money, you're never going to have the leverage to say what you need to say. Like, the only reason you came was to make money, right? Then you just have to be, you either have to be a complete money-driven person, which very few people actually are. There are people I'm around where their purpose, their God, their everything in life is to get paid. Like, that is it. They care about it more than getting laid. They care about more than purpose. Their purpose is, their orgasm is the wire. That's their right. Like, they're more interested in that orgasm than they are a sexual orgasm. They're more interested in the drugs, alcohol. They will work just to get paid, and they'll do it 7 days a week, right? Now, if we take that anomaly and we put that out of the equation, vast majority of people are not actually driven By money. So then you're okay, well, what are you driven by? And this comes back to the frame conversation, which is, what is the purpose of you even being in this industry? Is it because you couldn't do something else? Like, is that what you got into this for? So I run a ton, my wife and I run a ton of several businesses in the hair industry. We have a hair salon chain, we have our own hair products, our own hair extension products, and we also train hairstylists. And the one thing we tell our hairstylists constantly, which is just like talking to insurance agents, which is if you don't actually give a shit about two things, one, the art of hair, and two, the engagement of people, then get out. Because if you have to force yourself to care about the art and you have to force yourself to care about people, you're never going to thrive in our game. And our artists are going from making 40, 50,000 a year to making 200,000 to 300,000 a year, working 3 days a week in the salon, right? So like, this is a very different psychological shift that you're going through. So I would say the same things to advisors, right, and agents, which is if you don't fundamentally enjoy the conversation of money, if you don't like talking about it, if you're unwilling to have hard conversations about it, if it's not something that you feel adept at, if you've not studied it with passion, what is money? What's the purpose of money? How does money work? How does circulation work? What is capitalism? What is socialism? How does this work? What is the difference between stocks and insurance? How am I, if you don't have like wake up and kind of get a boner over it, and you're like, oh dude, I got hard nipples and hair's going up on the back of my neck, excited to study some shit. If on the weekends you're not listening to podcasts because you're obsessed to, not because you have to, because some of your senior agents said you have to listen to this, you're like, no, I want to, I'm obsessed, I want to. If you don't have that, then you need to find it or get out of the industry and go find something that you can give a shit about, where the obsession of the actual what the game is, the game. If you're not obsessed about the game, you'll never be great at it. Okay, second piece with this is you have to be obsessed with people. You guys, the personal development began in life insurance. It began like if you go to Wallace D. Waddles, all of these original personal development, psychology, prosperity thinking trainers from the Depression came out of the insurance industry. Why? Who the fuck wants to buy insurance and you're in the Depression? That's right. Like, hey, I can't eat. Would you like to buy some life insurance? No, I do not. That's the worst plan ever. How about you come back after I, hit you in the face with the shovel? That's a stupid idea. Get the fuck out of my house. So they have to come up with a different frame. And so the frame around dealing with engaging people and the frame around engaging and dealing with with money, and then there's the frame of dealing with you. Because you have to be able to navigate certainty amidst those two conversations. So if you lack the frame on the money conversation, you lack the frame on the people conversation, you lack the frame on yourself, dude, you just need to get a job. Like, stop pretending that you're going to do this. Like, I've met hundreds of failures inside of the insurance industry who will not be honest with themselves. They're not about people. They're not about money, and they can't own a frame on themselves. It's okay. Go get a job. Quit fucking your family up. Quit being broke. Quit struggling to succeed, because you're not going to make it. Like, they're going to tell you and pump you up. You can do it. You can't fucking do it. You won't pull it off. I'm around too many people who bullshit themselves. If you can be honest with yourself and go get a job working somewhere for somebody else who does have that frame, then possibly in that environment, you can learn the skills over time and find that fire. But being by yourself as an isolated agent, which most agents are, that is a very hard working from home, trying to deal with the game now with your kids home from school, going to school because of COVID, with a spouse who's like, when are you going to make some money? And you're over here trying to call Grandma Mildred. Your marketing sucks ass. Your sales skills suck ass. You have no passion for money. You're like, what should I do? And your listeners going, boy, this is really inspiring, Garrett. I appreciate that you tuned into the show. But what I'm wanting you to catch is that if you don't catch this frame on yourself, like, if you don't get these frames on yourself, it doesn't really matter. So what I did and what you guys have done is you have the frames on yourself. That's it. You have the frame on you. You have the frame on money. You have a frame on people. Because you have that trifecta, it makes sense. So when COVID hits, when people don't have that frame, they melt like a stick of butter in the microwave. And you and I, all of us, we're just like, oh, dude, the frame hit. It shook the frame. And we're like, whoa, wait a second. Everybody else melting like a stick of butter in the microwave. I've got an opportunity to own all the microwaves.
Right.
And we grow versus contract.
because all of those things are uncontrollable. You know, it's back to the laws of the sales funnel have not changed regardless of all of these external things, right? You still need to talk to X amount of, you know, the whole number crunch, right? You still have to do those things. And if we have the right frame, we can engage our staff, all of our salespeople, to believe this frame instead of what they're hearing on the news or what they're hearing externally.
Yep. There has to be, I mean, and I just have across the board when it comes to marketing and selling today, if you don't have a passionate stand for what you do, you just get ignored. And you just get ignored. That's it.
How people get stuck in frames so often. I mean, that's why a lot of people do the same thing over and over again. What are some ways to shake the frame and build these new frames when you're just so almost beaten down by your own current frames or the frame that, you know, I was abused when I was young and all these things that we've been through in the past?
So one of the reasons why I mean, since I saw you guys, I wrote 6 books and we published 4 apps.
I love it.
And to thousands of students inside us. We opened it up to women and men inside of our what's called Warrior Shelter, which is this. I took and I recognized that this issue that you're dealing with, this is what I deal with every day, right? This is what I deal with people every day. It's what I deal with my employees. It's what I deal with my teams. The hardest issue in building a team, dealing with clients, and building an organization is dealing with people. It's not process, it's not marketing, it's not sales, it's not system. All these are hard too and difficult and have to be dealt with. But the single most difficult piece you will have to face at every level of building a business is dealing with people. And most human beings are not very good at dealing with people, right? They're not very good at dealing with themselves. So if you want to learn how to deal with people, you have to learn how to deal with you. If you can deal with and understand yourself, immediately you have a hall pass to understanding other people at a much deeper and much better level. If you're honest with yourself, then you create honesty in your culture, which means you have open dialogue and communication with your teams and your customers. So I didn't know how to do this. I mean, I was a fucking liar for like a long time. Like it wasn't until I lost my first round of companies. And the biggest lie that I was telling was just lies to myself. I just would admit what I wanted. I would admit what I talked about. I admit about what I was thinking, what I was feeling, and then I would shrink. Like in a normal situation, like right now with all the heat around Donald Trump, like I'm voting for Trump. I voted for Trump 4 years ago. I have a very passionate stand about this. I don't give a fuck what people think about it. It's my stand. You want to take a stand with something else, take a stand. That's fine. But it's like, I'm not telling you who to take a stand for. What I'm saying is this is what I'm doing, right? And inside of that place, when I said this is what I'm doing, it's the same reason why I bought another $75 million in life insurance since I saw you. Right? These are why I make the moves. It's why I do more in the insurance world as a customer and understand it better than 99.9% of the insurance and life insurance agents that I meet. I'm like, how is it possible? I'm a customer. I don't even have a fucking insurance license, and I understand your shit better than you do. I can sell your shit better than you do. I can speak to it. Why? Because I live it. Because another problem is the hypocrisy of agents, which is you're sitting up giving fucking advice to people, telling people about how this insurance policy or this play or storing your money in this whole life policy or doing this makes sense. But if we peel back the covers on your life, you're a fucking joke, right? So you're a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite. And so how do you deal with this hypocrisy? Well, you start with the fact of acknowledging you're a hypocrite. You're like, here I am trying to lead people with money, but I'm broke as fuck. I'm trying to lead people with money, but I don't have my shit together. Now, does that mean you can't lead people? No, it means you need to start being honest. It doesn't mean you have to have it all figured out, have to have it perfect, or have to have a perfect plan, or you have to have, you have to have $50 million in permanent life insurance. You may not even qualify for $50 million in permanent life insurance because your current human life value doesn't support such getting $50 million in life insurance. So you're like, okay, well, what can I do right now? What you can do is be honest. And this is the foundation, everything that Warrior teaches and talks about, which is learning to live by a code of real, no matter what. No matter the consequence. When I took a stand for Donald Trump as president of the United States and why I'm voting for him again, we lost around $600,000 in revenue, right? Within about 4 days, customers who left, people said, we can't support you because you support Trump. And I said, that's fine. Don't give a shit. See you later.
Right.
Do you think I need you? I don't need you. I'm not going to kowtow to you. I'm not going to cater to you. I'm not going to bend over for you. I'm not going to do you. I'm doing me. If this makes you uncomfortable with me doing me, with you trying to do you, then you should go somewhere else. On the same token, before that, I took a stand for black men and black women. I didn't take a stand for Black Lives Matter, the movement, which I don't support at all. But I do support black men and black women big time. We love them, support them, employ them, and do business with them and negotiate with them. They're just like me. They're people. So I support that, right? But when I took that stand, I lost another $500,000 in revenue. And people are like, you can't do that. You can't talk like that. You can't spend. Fuck you. I'll talk however I want to talk. This is the beauty about being in insurance, unlike being an advisor in securities, is the fact that you can actually have real conversations. You can have an opinion about things, and there are people who want to listen to you in leadership because at the end of the day, they're not actually coming to you for a product. They're coming to you for certainty. People are terrified. They don't know where to go. They don't know who to trust. They don't know where to look. They don't know what's true anymore. And this cell phone has become just a goddamn vortex of fucking fear and doubt and worry and depression and sedation. And they're inside. You're over here trying to pitch them a fucking widget. Hey, let me... Anyway, you want a life insurance policy? It would be really good to insure the, what are you going to do when you die or anywhere? I remember going to my wife and I said, listen, I'm going to get this life insurance years ago. And she said, do you think I give a shit? I was like, what do you mean? She's like, if you die, I'm just going to marry a guy significantly richer than you. I was like, hey, that makes sense. Fair enough. That explains really where our marriage was at the time, about 10 years ago. Right. Nowadays, very, very, very different. But like coming back, you have to start with honesty. Like what's real? Like I challenge advisors all the time. I'm like, agent, I'm like, okay, cool. So you want me to do this? Let's look at your policies. You're telling me that bank on myself makes sense? Cool. Let's look how much you bank on you. So you show me your policy and I'll show you mine.
Love it.
I'm not saying I'm better. I'm just saying, great. We want to have this conversation. Let's have a real conversation then. Pull out your bank statements, pull out your bank policies, pull out your whole life policies, put them on the table. Let's look. Let's look at what your PUAs are. Let's look at what your policy holds. What kind of current permanent coverage do you have? What kind of temporary? What kind of rollover convertible term do you have? How much cash are you putting in monthly? How much are you putting in annually? Do you have policies on your children? Do you have policies on your wife? Because listen, if you're going to stand up here on a little podium and give a speech, you better be doing what you're preaching, even if it's at a smaller level, whatever that level is.
Yeah.
So
getting honest.
Truth is the foundation of all of it for me.
Yeah. And then where do they go?
Next, you got to deal with your mind. Like you got to deal with your stories because every single day you're going to be triggered all day long. You're dealing with people. When you deal with people, people say things, do things. You say things, do things. We trigger each other. You get upset, you get angry, you get happy, you get sad. Inside of like Hinduism, like there's in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a constant this teaching, this principle of Dharma, which is like this middle path that we've all been called to live, which is this place where we actually are powerful beyond just pain and powerful beyond pleasure, which is we're not getting pulled back and forth by what they call the gunas and the tamas, which is when I go about my day, I have self-mastery. But self-mastery is about being able to deal with the 6 inch of real estate between my ears, which is how do I deal with the stories that come into my brain? How do I effectively take criticism? You want to start advertising for your business, people are going to talk shit. They're going to make fun of your weight. They're going to make fun of your skin color. They're going to make fun of your hairdo. They're going to make fun of your business. Other agents are going to talk shit. They're going to slide in DMs into your private message and tell you're an asshole. They're going to talk shit on your podcast like people do on your guys' podcast. Like there's all kinds of people. Like there was somebody saying, oh, I listen to 40 minutes of show and it's fucking stupid ass frat boys running this podcast, blah, blah, blah. That was one of your reviews that I read right before we came on the show. Like this happens. This is called, if you don't have that internal ability to deal with the story in your mind about how you receive all of that, or somebody who says, no, I'm not doing this policy with you, or no, I'm not implementing that plan, or they say they're going to the whole time along, and then it comes time to write the check. You got everything bound, everything's ready to go, and they're supposed to send the check over, and they don't send it, and it's been 3 days, and you keep bullshitting yourself. They're going to send it. They're going to send it. They're going to send it. You're like, no, they're not. They're not going to send it. You're like, they're going to send it. They're going to send it. Now it's 2 weeks, and they're not sending it, and now the underwriter's like, where the fuck's the check at? And you're calling them, and now they're ignoring your calls, and they disappear. And you're like, what's happening? You're like, dude, they were never closed. They were never closed. Stop lying to yourself. They were never closed. You pretended they were closed because you were scared. You wouldn't say the hard things in a conversation. You wouldn't call people out in the middle of meetings. You wouldn't call them to the carpet about their behaviors with money because you won't call yourself to the carpet. So you will never do with another person outside of being a hypocrite. You will never call another person with certainty and empathy and power to task to rise as a client to make investments in themselves if you have not done it with yourself. There's no different than being diabetic, 300 pounds, and being 250 pounds overweight while trying to preach fitness and telling your kids they should get in shape. Well, you need to get out of the house, stop eating less Starbucks, and do more working out. Listen, fat ass, you need to do the same. How about you deal with that like shed you got covering up your cock and balls, and let's figure out what you're going to do with that first before you start preaching to your child about how they're starting to have obesity, because they look at you all day long as this walking giant brick house who's got major issues. So no matter what you say, all they're seeing is the fruit of your results. So if I can learn to deal with it, whether it's my weight, whether it's dealing with my spiritual dysfunction, or whether it's dealing with my business or my marriage or whatever it is, I have to come back to deal with me. And that's the system we created in 2016 that really, I was going to shut Wake Up Warrior down. My wife and I were ready to be done with our relationship. She was going to date other people. We were out. Like, we were done. It was done. I'm shutting everything down in 2016. And I uncovered this methodology for dealing with me at a whole nother level known as a stack. And that's all it is. Every day I spend an hour to hour and a half every morning dealing with me from 4:30 to 6:30 every single morning, to the point that these stacks now we print off, my stacks get printed off into a 400 to 600 page book that I've written every month the past 2 years. 400 to 600 pages of my own discoveries inside of myself every single morning, between 30 to 40 pages being written. It's not journaling.
Wow.
It's chat conversations with this system and mechanism that we built for dealing with you, from business topics to personal topics, etc. Dealing with me, dealing with my clients in power and production every single day. And we call this stacking. And stacking is one piece of a big system, but it's a very scientific way for being able to deal with you every single day.
Can you get a little bit deeper into that?
Yeah,
I would love. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll just pull up an example. And I will talk about, I'll just share one of my stacks from today. So we have, all of us have all kinds of issues emotionally. Like, our emotions, we wear them on our sleeves. I'm going to give you a simple example, okay? So me and my 13-year-old have a really rough time, right? So, and like, we have a good time, but we have a rough time. It's bipolar for us because she's very much like me. So we collide real, real hard. And she's 13. She looks like she's 19. She's 13. And she grew up.
That's helpful.
Yeah. And she's super articulate. She negotiates well. This is the same child that can hand a microphone, which I did multiple times in front of 5,000 people. And she'll go off for 5 to 7 minutes and not shake, not bat an eye. And she'll
That's awesome.
She makes the audience laugh. She makes them, they cry. She is a natural, articulate leader, influencer, communicator. She's just like the epitome of me. She should be way better than me. So she's tough. She's real tough. And she has anxiety too from her mother. And like my wife has anxiety, and so she's like they kind of have this thing. And so you mix it up, and it's a ruthless cocktail. So I was super pissed. We went to war again a few nights ago. Super fucking pissed. I woke up the next morning, and I had the residue of this anger with my daughter. Well, see, the problem with business people and ourselves is that residue is going to be dragged with us for the day.
Mm.
So that first meeting you have at 9:30 in the morning with Bob and Mary, like, if you're not careful, you're going to drag not only the residue of the upset with your daughter from the night before into that conversation, which could affect you closing a policy worth $25,000 to your family for the year, or worse than that, is that you're just going to continue to suppress these feelings over and over again and create this fake version of you that's like happy-go-lucky, happy panda pants. And then when you come home, you're going to deal with this war at home. So I just, over time, I've learned with my daughter, like, I just have to get this out. And I have to get this out about everything. So here was literally what my stack on this. Today's Monday. For Wednesday, this was Monday. Here was the original story. So it has the title of it, "You're the Worst Father Ever." I'm speaking of myself. Original story. Garrett is the worst father ever, and continues to yell and scream at his oldest daughter, beating her down mentally and emotionally daily, and his behaviors are going to fucking ruin her for life. So these were when I got clear about what the thoughts were in my mind about myself, like, I was fucking pissed at me. I'm like, this is a 13-year-old child. Like, you're a grown-ass man at 44. Like, this kind of behavior cannot continue. So then I continue down this. I'm like, all right, what are the negative feelings that you're experiencing because of this story? Sadness, guilt, shame, pain, hurt, and sorrow. What initial desires or actions do you notice rise for you with these feelings? I want to beat the fuck out of myself. I want to destroy me. How the fuck are you going to act like this to your daughter, yelling, screaming, and over calling her fucking lazy? This statement is training her. You fucking lazy, entitled little shit, and screaming these things at her all the time? What the fuck? How the fuck do I allow myself to let this happen? What are the facts without the feelings about the situation you've chosen to stack? Bailey doesn't listen. Bailey constantly violates our trust. Bailey is careless and breaks almost everything she has with us with no care or consequence. Now, my side, I'm a shitty father. I don't sit and spend time with her enough. I don't guide her. I don't support her, and have felt her reaching out over and over and over again emotionally, but I don't know how to show up without getting triggered. She is for sure showing up as a mirror that continues to expose me, just like alcohol exposed me. Fucking exposed who I am, and I fucking hate it. I'm a fucking horrible father, and how the fuck am I going to continue to react the way I do with her? What the fuck is wrong with me, you fucking piece of shit? Fuck you. Now, I'm having this conversation with myself at 4:30 in the morning via a technology tool that's asking me these questions and chatting back and forth, and I'm passionately having a conversation with myself. This continues. Beyond the trigger of the situation, what do you truly want for you? I want to bring order to my daughter's life. I want to bring support to my daughter's life. I want to bring energy and vitality to my daughter's life. I want to be her greatest fan, not her greatest fear. I want to be able to trust her. I want her to be able to trust herself. I want to assist her to live a life that will support her in getting what she wants. I want to stop yelling. I want to learn how to talk and hold the line with clear consequences with a teenage daughter who is completely defiant. I want to pass this test of raising a teenage girl and learn how to find and activate the power within me to accomplish this. Fuck. Armed with what you want in the new story to get there. What insider revelation? Oh, go down. Sorry, give me my new story. So this then has you go through, and I changed the storyline. Come back up. They've still, my software team's got to fix this. So change the story. The story, what's the desired story then? Garrett has been unwilling to consciously create a relationship of order with Bailey. And until he does, we'll continue to experience the frustration that he is.
This isn't the first time you've written this stuff either, huh?
No, dude, I have thousands of stacks. Like I said, but this is what we teach people how to do. Like, people will listen to my stacks are like, holy shit, dude. Like, that's why people read my stack books like they're books. And they're like, holy shit, dude. I'm like, listen, man, I've been doing this for like 5 years, like deeply, passionately for hours every single day. But the premise of this whole thing is the ability to be able to process feelings and emotions, but to be able to be really, really honest with yourself. And that's what most men most women are not really. They're surface honest. Mm-hmm. Not really a healthy place to be honest, right? Unless you go to therapy. It's like, where's a healthy place for me to be really honest? Because there's thoughts you have about your wife, about your kids, about your clients. Sometimes you hate your clients. You're like, man, my clients are assholes. But you know, what are you gonna tell them? You're an asshole? In my culture, you can. Right? Clients, as long as it's accountable. A client can tell you this, I can tell a client that. It's like we can go back and forth about it, but it's never about the person. It's just about situation and us learning to grow from that collision. So as you start to gain a mastery of you inside of the stacking tool, you start to learn how to reframe reality. And you recognize real quickly that every action you take is driven by the stories that you tell. And if you want to change your life, you have to change your story. And if you can't change your story, then you're stuck.
And a lot of people might know that, but they don't actually take the steps to retrain those stories. Yep. I love the stack. For everybody that's listening that said, you know, especially insurance dudes out there, especially guys, because guys are what our ladies look up to. We need to be the man, right? We need to be the leaders, especially in this time, especially this year. I mean, I guess every day, but really, really now, for those men out there that are sick and tired of being sick and tired and want to change, where should they start? Because I mean, with everything that you have, it's overwhelming.
Yeah, it is. I mean, this is a system like we talk about. We have there's an entire 4-summit journey, a base camp and a process to 18 to 36 months that men and women now go through, found at warriorapp.com. And like right there, you see it. There's an outline of what it is. Men come in at $97 a month. This used to be a $10,000 program to come into to start. It was $60,000 to $100,000 for the first year. And that was what we played. And we specifically for the first 8 years served a particular demographic in what we did. And we invested almost $30 million over that 8-year time period to figure out what the journey, what we call the warrior's journey, which is how does a person ultimately obtain 4 things: mastery of their perspective, mastery of their personal power. How do they take that mastery of perspective and personal power and transmute that into production and profitable results? And then how do they take that and ultimately wrap purpose around all of that at the same time and live life by design every single day? And this was our mission. We called it having it all. Like how could you do this across body, being, balance, and business? And it's very extensive. It's very intense, but it starts with a path. And we have right now, for the very first time ever, have opened up this opportunity to men and women inside of a combined group. And it's amazing. It works great. We have a group called Warrior Shelter Online on Facebook. And we have people from all kinds of different industries. We have people in around like 16 or 17 different countries right now in it. And $97 a month, you download all the apps to your phone. You get access to our Audio Armory app, which has all of our books and courses and curriculum. You follow the entire protocol with a whole bunch of other people assigned inside of your unit. And it's kind of this guided, not self-guided, you're group guided through this process. And it's the place that everybody brings me in for. Like, as much as I'm great at marketing and I'm great at selling and I'm great at doing in business, like that's not why I come in. That's not why I get hired one-on-one to work with the CEOs of companies worth $600, $700, $800 million. It's like, I don't get brought in to work with the executive teams. I have a call right after this in literally 7 minutes, the time of this, to work through the executive plan for next week for companies with $450 million. And people, the reason they bring me in is to work on the thing we're talking about right now. And by the way, these are very quote unquote politically correct organizations that were like you would always happy clappy kind of come in. Oh, I climbed Mount Everest. You got inspired. Let's have a mission statement. Like, everybody knows shit's out the window. So I come in and I help implement these tools into their world. But these companies are investing $250,000, $500,000 and more to have these kind of things rolled out inside of their organization with their teams. You can have access to the same thing. This will empower what you do with insurance. Top guys that I know in the insurance agency, in my world that are in the insurance world, guys all doing $1 million plus, all live by the Warriors way. They all operate by the code. They teach and train this way. They talk to their clients this way. And it is the most refreshing place to lead from. And it doesn't matter what your product is. Typically, the guys in our world are whole life insurance guys, and those guys, and from the insurance space, and those guys found the frame. Like, the frame changed completely, which is live by the code. This weird thing happens when you just talk to your clients from a place of truth. You don't try to be polished. You don't try to be perfect. They just want you. They want to know you're human, and then they also want to know you know what you're talking about. But they want to know you're human first, and they want to know that you know they're human first. So warriораpp.com is where everybody will go now, because that's literally the only entry point at this point for Warrior. There's no other entry point to any other programs that we do right now. All public access to everything else has been shut down. It's all behind the curtain. We have about 1,000 clients behind the scenes that we just service. Right now, business owners from all over the world that have been part of Warrior for the past 4, 5, 6 years. And so that part of our business is, it's kind of cloak and dagger, meaning it's like nobody really knows it exists. It's just over there. We're also in life insurance too. So I'm the marketing arm for our own agency, and we do a bunch of stuff in that. But people don't have a clue that I do that either. So I'm not technically licensed. I took the test once, failed. So that was a few years back. I think I was like 2000. I think I took it in 2008, failed it. And I was like 72 or something. And then it was like, you can take it again? I was like, no, because the minute I take it, then people get to have an opinion. I was like, so I just keep talking. I'm the marketing arm for what we do inside of our agency. So.
Right. Well, so many of us get shown some way to do things, not necessarily a formula that actually works or gets results or is the right way. And then here you have something that is tried and tested and it works. And at $100, I mean, there's not even any excuse to do it.
No, it's great. I mean, it works. Like, we watch what's happening right now. It's ridiculous. And even for those who might be, you're kind of like, oh man, I'm not a guy that's like, I don't invest. I don't take things serious even at 25,000. Like, there's people like this where, and I know I have clients like this. Like, if they're not invested $250,000, they won't even take it serious. Don't make this mistake. Don't make that mistake with this. Right? Just give yourself a chance. You download all kinds of bullshit for, $40, $50, and you buy stupid things, and you have bills go out the door for memberships and shit that you don't even remember you had memberships to. This is the one thing. Get these apps on your phone. There's an opportunity to get the Warrior Box, get the books in your house, and see. So you test it. Worst case scenario, you go for a month and you think I'm an asshole and you leave. Best case scenario, you come in, you're in there for a month and you still think I'm an asshole, but you stay, and you end up finding the power that you're looking for.
I think most people will be pleasantly surprised. I'm sure that in those corporate meetings where they're expecting something entirely different, it's probably a little rough intro, and then they're like, holy shit, this guy's the best. I love him, right? Because it's something different. It's so refreshing.
Yeah. We have, I'm the only guy that's ever come in with the teams, and like we've had like, I'm never going to take it to the point where we're fighting, but we have toe-to-toe situations with CFOs and CEOs, and it gets heated. And then when that part's over and everybody's living by the code and everybody's being honest, there's a level of bonding and connection, and people go to war. One of our groups took their company public this year, just got listed on the New York Stock Exchange, tripled in value. Company's almost $1 billion now. Same thing. We've been working for a year and a half, all based on the same thing, which is getting everyone on the executive team to live by the code, tell the truth, teach them how to stack, teach them how to live the daily game of Core 4, teach them how to be productive with the Door app, and ultimately how to create what we call impossible games for the business and for themselves. And they went to war and they won big. And this continues to happen. But yeah, it's rough in the beginning. It's just like anytime I'm going to bring change, it's rough at first.
Yeah,
true.
And you come in hard. Love it.
Love it, man. Yeah. We want to respect your time.
Yeah,
amazing.
Hard stop. 2 minutes. So one last time, and then if you leave us with, why don't you give us just the one little nugget that every agent needs to do starting today, besides buy this $97?
I would just have you consider one simple idea, which is the business or the family that you want, the life that you want, the marriage that you want, the future that you want will be driven by the business that you build.
Love that.
And
love it.
If you want life to change, you're going to have to change your business. And if you want your business to change, you're going to have to change you. And one of the tools, not the tool, that could help you with that is what we do here at Warrior.
Yeah.
And listen to this podcast, a lot of other places you could go to find some great resources to pull that off. So thank you so much, guys, for having me today. And love being here with you guys. Look forward to being on the show again sometime.
Thanks a lot, Garrett.
Thank you so much, Garrett.
Hey, you've got to check out the Insurance Dudes Inner Circle coming soon, where you get extended interviews as well as live coffee talks in our private Facebook group. Join the mailing list today at theinsurancedudespodcast.com. Hey, thanks for checking out the Insurance Dudes. Hey, please subscribe. We got some really great stuff coming out.